Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 11th May 2024. Here we are to present to you this recap video for today's Bhagavad Gita recitation session. We continue along in our journey of chapter 11, and so along with me, here is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
Bringing up the screen, you're going to see our cover slide. After a gap of 2 weeks, we covered chapter 11, verses 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. We also, in fact, today, before getting into that content, we had a spontaneous set of few quiz questions to help set context and calibrate for everyone where we last left off. So I'll quickly maybe just try to remind people live about that. And then, of course, we'll hear a rendition of all the 5 verses. We'll learn one or more important Sanskrit words from Mummy, as always. I'll briefly explain the meaning of the verses, and then we'll hear the rendition again and see any other connections or references. So very quickly, if I just take us through, we had asked about which verses we covered, after how long we met, which was 2 weeks, and then in which verse from chapter 11, Arjun gets to see the Vishnu form of Sri Krishna, and that turns out to be chapter 11, verse 17. And then we asked about what were the missing objects that are always, the 4 objects that are associated with Lord Vishnu, one in each hand, which ones are not mentioned in chapter 11, verse 17. So again, we'll encourage everybody to go back and make sure they're familiar with all that. And we'll try to keep this once in a while. So back to the slideshow, we shall now listen to that rendition of chapter 11, verse 21 and beyond.
So before I start the rendition, just want to mention that these today's all 5 verses, they are being sung in Tristubh meter, as they have total 44 syllables, 11 syllables in each pada. So the tune is different. Amihi tvam sur sangha vishanti kechid bhita pranjalyo grinanti swasti pyuktva maharshi siddha sanghaha stuvanti tvam stutibhiv pushkalabhihi rudraditya vasavo ye cha sadhya vishve vinau marutaschosma pascha gandharva yaksha surasiddha sangha vikshante tvam vismitaschaiva sarve rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupadam bahudaram bahudanstrakaralam drishtva lokaf pravayatitastathaham nabhasprisham deeptam anekavarnam vyatatananam deepta vishalanetram drishtva hitvam pravayatitantaratma dhritim na vindami shamam cha vishno danshtrakaralani cha te mukhani drishtvaiva kalanalasanibhani disho na jane na labhe cha sharma prasida devesha jagannivasa. So let's look at 5 important words from these verses. From verse number 21, let's see, pranjalyo. Pranjalyo ho, that means with folded hands. All the assembly of celestial gods, they are praying to Vishnu with folded hands. Pranjalyo. Verse 22, Vismitaha. So they are all in awe or in wonder. What kind of form is this? Vismitaha. Verse 23, Pravyathitaha. Oh my God. Pravyatitaha, by seeing that form of Vishnu, they are all terror-stricken. Verse number 24, Nabha Sprisham. That form is huge and it is touching the sky. Nabha Sprisham. And verse 25, Prasida. Prasida, O Lord, have mercy on us. So over to you, Gagan.
Thank you, Mummy. So yeah, let's quickly look through the content of these 5 verses. Chapter 11, verse 21, the catchphrase here is symphony in shelter. In fact, as Mummy said, Arjun is seeing in that universal form of Sri Krishna that the celestial gods themselves are also taking Sri Krishna's shelter. And again, the reference is many times material people think that celestial gods are the highest at the highest level. But despite that, that's not true. But also, they themselves are the ones who are taking shelter of Sri Krishna, the absolute ultimate, the supreme. And then there are sages and perfected souls who are praising or extolling Sri Krishna with auspicious hymns and prayers. That's the symphony in shelter. In fact, we showed in class, and here as well, we'll show the flyer that most of you hopefully had seen prior to class, trying to represent here the universe being in some shelter, that shelter to be represented by Sri Krishna, of course, in that form. And there is the symphony, auspicious hymns and prayers, musical notes all around. So chapter 11, verse 21 is symphony in shelter. Chapter 11, verse 22, worlds in wonder. Briefly here, you have a long list, similar to what we saw earlier in the chapter, Rudras, Adityas, Maruts, etc., all beholding Sri Krishna in wonder. Chapter 11, verse 23, we start getting to the fear or the terrifying sort of words and phrases. So here the catchphrase is truly terrified, because Arjun sees that all the worlds, all the different personalities are terrified. So they are terror-stricken by what they're seeing of Sri Krishna, and Arjun, seeing that, admits that so is he. Chapter 11, verse 24, we have the question, the catchphrase as a question, color of courage. Here Arjun continues to acknowledge and admit that he has lost his courage and he has lost his peace of mind. And that is partly because, as Mummy said, Nabha Sprisham, Sri Krishna's universal form touching the sky and the effulgence of all the colors. So something to think about. What is the color of courage? Well, it can't be any of the colors of God, naturally, right? So we're trying to make sure we understand devotion and bhakti, which eventually Arjun will pick up on, of course, back from his moments of fear and terror. We also mentioned in class, when we get to chapter 11 in the Bhagavad Gita study series, we'll see more about Arjun's, fraternal sentiment, Sakhya Bhav, as well as the story of the Gopas, the cowherds, Govardhan Leela, how all of that is rather different, because when you don't see or recognize that supreme ultimate form of Sri Krishna, you just treat him as a pal, as a buddy, as a friend. Otherwise, currently Arjun is seeing the form and having fear. So in fact, finally in chapter 11, verse 25, the catchphrase here is where from here? Because Arjun says 2 things. He's forgotten where he is, and he does not know where to go next. So he concludes by asking, pleading with Sri Krishna, Prasida, for mercy. So that's the essence of these 5 verses here. I'll also mention a couple of more things. Hopefully everyone takes note. We had seen, I think, live in class right here, chapter 11, verse 22. She sells seashells on the seashore. Common tongue twister in English. Hopefully you all added to your notes in class itself. For Sanskrit, you might want to consider the second pada here, second line. Vishveshveno marutash choshma pascha. And try and see if you can say it faster and again and again. So that's chapter 11, verse 22. And then Mummy pointed out very carefully, chapter 11, verse 23 has a lot of similar looking, similarly spelled BAHU words, but with different intonations because of the accents and the Sanskrit, pronunciation. Bahu, 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 I think. Yep. And Bahu. So all the variations are there. keep that in mind as well for your practice. Let's listen to all 5 verses.
Well, Gagan, can you bring up that verse, Bahu?
Mhm.
So the only thing is, it is dirgh and short, long and short. The first pada, Bahu, it is chote u ki matra. So it is haraswa swar. That matra is so short time. The next pada, Bahu, and then Bahu, u. Then the third pada, Bahudaram, u. But the next word is Bahu, Danshtra. So longer and shorter, Dirgh and Harasva. So we have to take note of all these small nuances. So let's go for the rendition once again. Amihi tvam sur sangha vishanti केचित् भीताः प्राञ्जल्यो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्य उक्त्वा महर्षिसिद्धसङ्घाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्या विश्वेशविनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्घा वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे रूपं महत्ते बहुवक्त्रनेत्रं महाबाहो बहुबाहुरूपादं बहुदरं बहुदंष्ट्राकरालं दृष्ट्वा लोकाः प्रव्यथितास्तथाहम् नभस्पृशं दीप्तम् अनेकवर्णं व्यातताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रं दृष्ट्वा हि त्वां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णो दंष्ट्राकरालानि च ते मुखानि दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास. Hope this helps for all of you to revise these verses. Now I'll make one small talk, that is, yesterday was Akshaya Tritiya, and it's a very auspicious day, and it is associated with many legends. And in one of the legend, it is connected with this also, that in Banke Bihari temple of Vrindavan, Krishna's charan are shown only on Akshaya Tritiya. Thinking about that and longing for Sri Krishna, yesterday when I went in my yard outside, saw 2 beautiful blossoming yellow lilies. And there I felt that I have seen Krishna right there. And these 4 lines just came out of my mouth, which I put it in an audio. And with these pictures, my husband has created these shorts, which I would like to share with all of them. Let's listen. It says, open the eyes of your heart, throw away all the impurities, purify it with loving devotion to God, and you can see God in your house only, wearing those yellow clothes, and you can have darshanam of his charnam. So let's listen to the shorts.
मन की आँखें खोल रे मनवा, हरि दर्शन कर अपने घर माँ। बांके बिहारी पीत वस्त्रम, अक्षय तृतीया चरणम दर्शनम।
Yeah.
Thank you, Gagan. So
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. Yep, indeed, very helpful visual and original poem there that you wrote. So again, coincident with the festival, but helps us make connections, like you mentioned. So something for all of us to learn from there. As always, thank you all for your presence and participation. And so we shall meet in a week. That's Saturday, 18th May, 2024. Same time, 11 a.m. Central and 9:30 p.m. India time. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.